Hi guys, and welcome to today's video. Today's topic is going to be guilt and shame towards single moms. It is a topic that is very near and dear to my heart and something that I think needs to be addressed before anything else. We kind of cover the mindset around it and how to align your mindset with the belief that you're valuable. I hope that you stay tuned for the video. If you like it, give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe to the channel if you want to see more single mom life videos about just everyday life things, as well as the mindsets and intentions around changing the single mom stigma. Hi guys. So I just want to talk a little bit about guilt and shame today and the effects of it on single moms and how it's kind of used as a weapon against us. Historically, women have been completely chastised if they have children outside of marriage. We're basically have been pushed out of society, historically speaking, and made to do abhorrent things in order to survive, let alone support ourselves and our children. It was pretty brutal for women even just 50 years ago, but 100, 200 years ago in Western cultures. If they had children outside of marriage, it was basically not necessarily a death sentence, but as close as you can get to one. It was not good. Today, however, it's not so much a death sentence but it is still something that is used against us, guilt and shame. Only now it's shaming us for not having it all together, for not being able to do it all. There's a lot of guilt and accusation thrown at us. I know that I've heard people say things like, why don't you just go get an education and get a better career so you can provide for your kids? Or some women hear, well, it's probably your fault that he left you. You must have done something to push him away, and that's why he's not with you anymore and why you're alone. Or things like, you got yourself into this mess, you have to figure out how to get out of it. And it's just all of these things basically equal to a sense of worthlessness and a sense of not being enough. And it really, really destroys our sense of value and worth. And I know you guys heard me talk a little bit in my first video of just how important it is to value yourself and believe that you are worthy of love. And it breaks my heart to think of any person ever being made to think that they are not worthy of love, because you are. You are worthy of love inherently. Intrinsically, you are worthy. Your value is not dependent on what you do or don't do as a mom or as a person in general. So I just want to talk a little bit, I guess, about what guilt and shame does to us. A lot of times we kind of just think of it as something that might hurt our feelings or whatever, but what ends up happening is that it creates this playlist of accusations that goes on in our mind on a daily basis. And what ends up happening is our thoughts align to that playlist, our thoughts align to those beliefs, and then we start to believe that about ourselves. And when you believe that you are worthless, when you believe that you have no value, what it does is it paralyzes you, and it prevents you from moving forward, from growing, from progressing, from doing anything with your life that you want to do, from becoming who you want to become. It puts you in a state of just paralyzation. And I hate that. And so one of the things that I do is I like to become first aware of that fact, aware of the fact that I can get into these downward spirals of dark thoughts that completely cripple my progress. And once you become aware of it, then you can start to replace it with thoughts of, I am worthy, I'm a good mom, I'm a good friend, I'm valuable, I matter, and I can do this. And when you believe those things about yourself, and when you start to replace those other thoughts, and sometimes you have to say it out loud to yourself. Sometimes you have to say, I am valuable, I am worthy, I matter. And when you do, and you start to replace those subconscious beliefs that you may not have known that you had, then you start to kind of live in accordance with those. The thing about guilt and shame is that I think it is the church's and society's way of trying to control and manipulate women into never having sex outside of marriage and never having babies outside of marriage because it's sin or it's wrong or whatever. And the thing is that it is really hard to be a single mom. I don't recommend it if you have the choice. But if you are there, then it's not hopeless. Like, there's so many opportunities for moving forward and still doing with your life what you want to do with your life. And so I think that it is so important to replace those beliefs about ourselves and to get to a place where they're not stopping us in our tracks. So it's funny because guilt and shame are used as a weapon almost, right? They're used as a control mechanism to try to manipulate women into not having babies outside of marriage, right? Supposedly for the betterment of society, for their own moral upstanding. But the thing is that guilt and shame and accusation never, ever, ever produce good fruit. They might produce good results. They might produce an action that you want. But I mean, it's the same as in parenting. Like, you want your kids to understand the why behind things. You want your kids to make good choices for themselves, for the people that they're around, for life. You don't want them to just be robots who blindly obey. You want them to understand and have understanding. And ultimately, you want them to value themselves enough to make good choices. So if the goal is a better society, if the goal is more nuclear families or more wholeness and fullness and fulfillment, and less struggling, because single motherhood is a struggle, then we don't do that with guilt and shame. We do it with love. Love is the only transformative tool that there is, period. I don't care what you say. You can give TED Talks all day long. You can have a whole conversation about all the negative things that can come out of being a single mom, right? But that is not transformative. What is transformative is love. And if a woman is already a single mom, it's not going to do any good to tell her how horrible she is or how she shouldn't have done it or how she can't do it. Like, what's the point of that? What's the flipping point of that? I don't understand. Instead, love her. Like, we should be meeting single moms where they're at and then walking alongside of them to help them. When we get all these accusations and stuff thrown at us, it's really easy for us to just cut everyone off, pull up our bootstraps and get to it. But what that does is emotionally we cut off the relationships that we need. Because we've learned that we don't matter to anyone unless we fulfill a list of expectations, right? But that's not true. But when we believe that, we cut everybody off, and we're not vulnerable with anybody. Or we just give up because we think we'll never be able to do this. What's the point? And we're hopeless. So, in saying all of that, I hope that from this, you get that you can replace those beliefs that have come as a result of things that you've heard, that you've experienced, that you've seen. They're still not true. They're not. You have value and purpose and destiny and worth outside of what you do, outside of what you've done. Like, it does not matter. What matters is moving forward. And you can't move forward if you're living in guilt and shame and accusation. So become aware of those thoughts, become aware of those beliefs, and start changing them. Start replacing them with thoughts of how beautiful you are, of how worthy you are, of how valuable and necessary you are to society. Because I believe that about you. I hope you guys have a great day. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below, and I will see you next time.